In a country where free press is defined as a civil liberty, it may surprise some that on the World Press Freedom Index, the United States doesn't crack the top 10 or even come close. Among nearly 180 countries, the U.S. ranks 48th. For its annual list, Reporters Without Borders surveys journalists around the globe to determine the level of freedom and safety they experience on the job. The United States' latest score is categorized as problematic. As for the challenges and changes facing the industry, we got insight from world-renowned journalist Christiane Amanpour. Christopher Conover has more.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Amanpour and Company.
With a career spanning nearly 4 decades, Christiane Amanpour has reported from war zones, questioned world leaders, and earned countless accolades for her work, including the Zenger Award for Press Freedom. Amanpour accepted that award from the University of Arizona School of Journalism this month.
Because press freedom today takes on extraordinary significance and extraordinary meaning.
The Zenger Award honors journalists who fight for the people's right to know, a battle made more complicated as critics, including the president, continue to decry the media as fake news.
I don't know who gave you that. That's more fake news. There's a lot of fake news out there.
The president is fond of saying fake news. It's become a mantra amongst the president, a lot of supporters and other people. The trust of the media seems to have eroded as a result. What can we as members of the media do to get that trust back?
Well, I think we just have to do our job faultlessly. We have to be even more careful that we don't get things wrong. If we do get things wrong, that we immediately fess up, apologize, correct. However, I also don't think we ought to bend over backwards to accept this fake news moniker. Look, there's been fake news since time immemorial. There's been propaganda, there's been, all sorts of leaders trying to twist facts in the way that's most beneficial to them. Fake news means two things, either outright lies, or it's when people like us tell stories, hold officials accountable, report facts that they don't like, so they just try to duck under it by saying fake news. But I think we have to be aware that this constant attack on our credibility does have a corrosive effect and has a cumulative effect. So we really do have to stand up for our rights, keep doing good journalism, and make people understand that they need us. They can't exist in a world where there aren't journalists who are dedicated to bringing them, free, fair, and independent facts and information. And I always say, the difference between truth and lies is the difference between freedom and dictatorship. And people will be worse off if our profession is killed off. So we just need to be very clear and fight hard for our rights.
You are fond of saying, when it comes to defining how you approach news and a story, truthful, but not necessarily neutral.
This is when I pull out my prop. I have been saying that for a while, and now I have it on my sweater.
So explain to people, what is be truthful, not neutral, for people who might not understand?
Well, for me, it was born out of this current climate of attack on the freedom and the veracity of the press. It basically means you've got to tell the truth. You cannot sit and assume or tell people that in every case there's a he said, she said. That's an attempt to be neutral when often it doesn't exist.
Show me what democracy looks like!
Because in certain times, let's just take the climate. Here in Tucson, all around the world, there have been massive global protests against climate change. And you know what? For a long, long time, journalists were guilty of treating this crisis as a he said, she said, thinking that objectivity was equating the unbelievable weight of scientific evidence with the teeny-weeny number of deniers who we elevated to equal partners. So that's what I mean. You can't be neutral in those cases. You have to tell the truth, because look where we are now. We're at a climate crisis, a catastrophe that has to be addressed very, very quickly.
Climate change is just one of many issues Amanpour explores on her global affairs show, Amanpour, that debuted on CNN International in 2009. PBS began airing the program in late 2017 as a replacement for Charlie Rose after he was fired amid sexual harassment allegations that came to light during the height of the Me Too movement.
When the Me Too movement was gaining momentum, journalism got caught up in it, both in local newsrooms and some big names in our business got caught up into it. You just met with a group of journalism students here at the University of Arizona. What do you tell them about getting into the business and what they need to know?
Well, I think they need to know that it's on their merits and on their smarts. I think they need to know that they are guaranteed a safe working environment, and I believe the Me Too movement has made that much, much more possible. You know, I hope that culture has ended now. And again, I would pay tribute to the journalists who made that happen. It was journalists, you know, not the courts, not the politicians. It was journalists who blew open this Harvey Weinstein situation and created a movement, the Me Too movement.
You have been a loud voice for more women in journalism as you walk around a journalism school, be it here or any other. Are you happy with what you're seeing with women?
I am, actually. I think that, you know, when I started, certainly as a war correspondent, there were very, very few women doing this. Very, very few. And now, almost everyone is a woman. I mean, I'm exaggerating, obviously, but now it's absolutely 50-50, if not sometimes more women than men. So I think that's really great. It's a really great development. I think women, you know, constantly prove their mettle and prove their abilities in this regard. I would say one thing, and there aren't enough women in the executive suites. There aren't enough women in the top decision-making places, and until that changes, you know, we're going to have to lobby for more women in the decision-making spaces too.
All right, well, thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you. Pleasure.